Every storyteller, journalist, politician, preacher, and historian has to face a very real fear. The armchair investigators, avid listeners, and people who corner you at parties. Eventually, you have to face them all as they make that most dreaded phrase. Actually, you're wrong. Welcome to the Arkins Hearth, a Not Dead Yet production, released on the RSS network, where our mistakes are not only aired, they get their own episode. I am Michael Jason Chandler, and yes, tonight, I have to confess, Thorin has made some mistakes. I'm joined tonight by my brother and co-host,
Thorin Wolf, owner of Arkins Juice Tavern and Arkins Hearth Gaming. I also do custom leather. Email me or just say something in the comments if you want to get a hold of me for that. But, Jason, I knew this day was coming. I'm surprised it's taken this long.
We had to get through the first season before we'd have to air the poor writer's mistakes.
Yeah.
One mistake tonight belongs to the ginger. One.
They had to work.
Oh.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, tonight's episode is not our usual adventure into the bizarre. No, we are opening the dusty closet where we keep all of our mistakes. Our listeners noticed, and honestly, good for you.
Jason, I've waited for this day. I've waited for this day for so long.
Did I have to spend a whole night saying I was wrong?
Yes. I'm going to sit back with my tea and relish this moment so much.
So as some of you might be aware, I do the primary writing for the scripts on the podcast. It is because I love to write and I love to research and all of those things. So yes, perhaps Thorin isn't the one who made mistakes tonight. Perhaps these are my research mistakes. God, that's harder to say than it should be.
Although I do have to say, coming up in season 2, Ginger and I will be doing a lot more.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I love it. And Ginger has written 2 of the episodes.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah.
We will end out the season, Ginger 2, me 28, you doing a good job of riffing on the things I write.
Hey, I gave you guys ideas.
You did. You did. You are a fountain.
It was my idea for some of the cryptids, like the
we haven't done a cryptid episode yet. Well,
the ghost stories, like some of the what was it?
La Llorona.
La Llorona.
Yeah.
Highway 666.
Yeah, Highway 666 was you. And the main thing was, I admit that, I like to write. It takes me about 2 days to research and write an episode.
Listen, it's the easiest thing in the world. All you got to do is get yourself a person who... you give them ideas, and they are so wrapped up in that tism that they have to research that you don't have to do a thing except sit back and make all the funny jokes.
So when are you going to start with that?
So anyway,
so this is our mistake graveyard. That's what we're calling this. And this is part 1. Not because we're going to do a part 2 next week. This is not something that's going to immediately have a part 2. No. But as long as we keep on making this show, mistakes are inevitable.
Yeah. Or updates.
Updates as well. We will have one update this evening. And so as much as mistakes are inevitable, so is episode 2. Thinking we'll probably do one of these one of these per season.
I was going to say one at the end of every season. That sounds nice.
Because it's important to be honest and admit your mistakes and whatnot.
So we actually had a couple of listeners chime in and go, well, actually. And that's, I am doing the finger glasses thing.
Yeah. And in the future, I'm going to do a better job. I'm actually going to figure out what your names are and actually announce them here and be like, yeah, this person pointed out that I was wrong. I'm not doing that this time because...
we didn't get permission.
Yeah. I would like to maybe text those people and get permission to use them on the show. Also, it's just a new concept. We hadn't done this before, so that's something I'd like to do, growing and going forward. But yes, folks, that does mean that season 1 is winding down. We're going to be ending season 1 on our 30th episode. And we'll be immediately moving into season 2. Episodes.
Not to mention the live show in season 2.
We will be doing a live show. That is something we're beginning to work on now.
Probably more live shows to come. This is moving a lot faster than I even expected it to go. And
by this point, we should have had our second episode with Tacit. He did a wonderful, he was our guest host.
We should have finished the Jack the Ripper series, all 4 episodes.
All 4 episodes will be out by the time this episode comes out, I believe.
I believe, too.
As long as we don't have any more technical difficulties where the whole episode vanishes.
Sorry, my bad.
That's not your bad.
I can only do so much.
I hear you. You're working so hard, never running into damn script. No, anyways.
No, I'll just sound check and, run the boards and stuff.
But anyways. So, this season we have covered hauntings, legends, UFOs, crimes, awesome rising rap stars, and mysteries. But chasing weirdness means sometimes you trip over your own shoelaces. Misreading a timeline, trusting a sketchy source, or just typing too fast, because sometimes I am writing these episodes at breakneck speeds. The important part is that we own up to them. We trust our listeners. We recognize that trust in our listeners matters more to us than our pride, or my pride, as the case is here. But stories are messy.
Pride and ego.
Yeah, well, stories are messy. History is a lot of conflicting accounts. Lost paperwork. We're literally going to talk about that in this episode. People who didn't write things down, so it's all third hand. Our job is never going to be perfect. It's to keep learning and to keep on presenting stories for you and to you. So, dear audience, you have become a part of that process. You spot inconsistencies, dig up documents, and send us the wonderful emails. Love those. But corrections don't ruin a story. They actually make them stronger. When we recognize that there's more to the story, or that we didn't quite understand it, or that we presented it wrong because Jason needs to stop writing till 3 a.m.
Crack that whip.
Yeah, but that's part of this. So tonight, we're going to remove our Season 1 blinders, recognize our Season 1 blunders, and give this season a proper send-off. We're going to laugh at ourselves, I hope, and emerge wiser. Because the truth is always strange enough. No embellishment required. So grab your flashlight, your shovel. Let's get digging in the graveyard. So we're going to start this process with our very first episode.
Oh, man.
Yep.
It's Satanic Panic.
Yep. How the Satanic Panic affected Dungeons and Dragons specifically.
Okay.
We kind of covered both, but yeah. And this one's not a really big one, but I thought it deserved to be noted.
Are we doing these in order, Jason?
We are doing these
in order.
Cool,
sweet.
That's why we're starting on the first episode. And
why are there 20 pages?
No, there's not 20 pages.
I'm joking.
I'm not that bad. I do double check my resources. So in the first episode, we tackled Satanic of the 1980s and early 90s. This was a time when America was convinced that there were satanic cults lurking behind every daycare wall. So glad all that's over now and we don't deal with anything like that now. There are no stupid people out there who assume that there are satanic cults controlling people and eating children, because that's silly and it's never been proved. Never, ever, ever. I'm so glad that's over. Sorry. What was that? I lost myself for a moment there.
Wow, Jason.
But I did make an error. So in the original episode, I said that hundreds of daycare investigations confirmed none of the ritual abuse claims. But the word none was a little bit too neat.
Really?
So the investigations didn't find any proof of any satanic conspiracy. There were no devil worshippers. There were no rituals. Hell, there weren't even tunnels under daycares where abuse was happening. However, where I made a mistake was that the investigations didn't find the satanic conspiracy, but some of them, as you remember, there were hundreds of investigations. Some of these cases did involve real child abuse.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Yeah, no, not satanic child abuse, but I said that none of them had any validity. They were none of the satanic, and I just want to clarify, none of the satanic leanings or trappings of these cases were real. There was not one verified case, and nor to this point have there ever been any verified cases of satanic abuse. But there were real people who were abused. And some of these cases did lead to findings of real child abuse. So the correction is that not every allegation was false, just the overarching conspiracy theory that it was the satanic cults.
Right. It was normal people doing stupid things.
Right. It's just a reminder that one careless word can warp an entire story. And I wanted to definitely, the reason I wanted to do this, because it was our first episode, but I also wanted to say it because, when real people are involved and real abuse is involved, we should honor that those people went through trauma. Even if the satanic panic excuse probably made that situation worse, would be my guess. I mean, wouldn't you think that...
Yeah.
It's bad enough somebody's being abused, a child's being abused, but now you're telling this child that it's satanic rituals. And remember, these kids were being led, and some of them had false memories connected to that. So not only are they being abused, but they're also being fed false memories about satanic cults. It must have been horrible.
Can I say that the person doing all of these investigations, I forgot his name. It was a doctor, whatever.
The guy who wrote that first book.
I really think that could have also been a little bit abusive for trying to feed in.
I don't think he fully understood when he was doing he was doing the recovered memories, and a lot of therapists did recovery.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just I feel like it was a little more pushed.
Oh, he definitely
he wanted to get this book written.
He wanted to sell a book, and he wanted it got famous. It made a buzz, and so yeah. Overly confident sentences. I tried my best, but hey, what can I tell you? I guess we need a better editor, which at the time was also me. So, sorry. But I will say this. Whenever abuse is happening, you've got to listen to victims, and we also have to be careful that we don't thrust more trauma onto them. Because I think that's what happened here.
And remember, if you're going through trauma and nobody's listening, those people are not your friends.
And if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yep, you got this. Call somebody. Get some help. It's always the best thing. Okay, enough of that one.
So, next, we'll go right into episode 2. And there's a few with a lot of the different UFO episodes.
Oh man, you messed up on all of the first...
first three
four UFO.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Roswell, or episode 2, Roswell, baby. So, this is the world's favorite UFO mystery, if not mine. Told you, I think it's boring as can be. So, something did crash in 1947. The Army said flying disc, and then weather balloon, then Project Mogul. And then over the years, the Roswell's legend has ballooned.
Oh, God.
Pun intended.
Here we go.
Come on, I'm funny. But anyway, yes, it's ballooned into tales of alien bodies and secret bases. But as much as I love a good cover-up, some of these wider claims are not proven facts. And I presented quite a bit in that episode that I just sort of said were facts, including claiming that the military's change when they changed their story, that was a false report. Technically, it wasn't. They did put out 2 reports, and they were not the same. But to call the second one false, technically there's no evidence that it was false. Nobody's proven anything. And so that claim was not a proven fact. And so, and this bothered someone, because these are great stories, but real history is weird enough.
So many UFO people reach out to us and give us a book for us to read.
Yeah, no, I don't have time to read more books. I have to read the books that are connected to this show.
So if you send us something, just make sure it's a paragraph.
Right, or if it's a book, it might end up in our Utah episode, which did happen.
Oh.
So, maybe if you send me a book, it is good. But anyways, no, the real history is weird enough without adding more to the little green men. So to clarify, the documented events, strange alien autopsies, all of that into the grave with you.
Yep, not so much.
For overexcited speculation. And I'm not saying these things were wrong. I'm simply saying that I should not have reported them as facts. Next, the 1950 Farmington Armada, Episode 4.
Oh, you skipped one.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm going to have to correct you, Jason.
Oh, shut up.
Actually.
Actually. So this next, I'm sorry, was Episode 3, the Aztec Incident. So the Aztec UFO crash in 1948 in New Mexico with supposed alien tech and all the retelling and our whole episode, I get a bit swept up in presenting some of the maybe juicier claims you might say about seeing alien bodies, and I may have once again suggested these things were more historical fact. Here's the truth. Though the UFO crash is legendary and is famous, its evidence is, let's say, mostly legendary. Actual reports at the time did not say that oil field workers found them first. It said workers, but it did not clarify oil field workers. That's just the largest number of people that were working in the area. The report that the UFO was, that the government reacted within 2 hours. That also was reported later. Wasn't reported at the time. Reports of seeing alien bodies, opening up the ship, the government response. All of these things that I reported as being historical fact are actually reports made by witnesses years later. And after years of hindsight, including, and you can't help it. It's human nature. From the point of what they actually experienced, which may very well have been all of the things they reported. I'm not saying that or not. I'm not saying that anyone lied. But there is a thing that happens as we get older and as stories get told. Every time we watch Independence Day and X-Files, we start to add some of the incredible stories that we see into those memories. And remember, some of these memories, 40 years, 50 years after these things happened. So for me to, and I'm not saying that anything that anyone said wasn't true. I'm saying that I should have reported them as witness statements 40 years after the fact, not as historical fact. So, thank you, embellished alien details. You were entertaining, but into the bin. Or the grave, as it were. So now we'll move on to episode 4, which is the Farmington Armada. So, Farmington, New Mexico, dozens of people saw weird things in the sky, said it was a major Air Force investigation. I said it was a major Air Force investigation. Turns out, it wasn't quite so official. So, one, Project Blue Book, which I actually quoted in multiple UFO stories, didn't exist yet.
Really?
So these things happened in 1950. Project Blue Book didn't exist till 52. And so this is the big correction. And actually, I will say this is for multiple of the alien episodes. I mentioned Project Blue Book, and remember, Roswell and Aztec all happened in the 1940s. And the 1950 Farmington Armada happened 2 years before Blue Book. There was Project Grudge, which did exist and did investigate some of these things, but Farmington was not considered a key case. So, sometimes we want history to be tidy, and it is not. So I did read in my research that these things were in Project Blue Book, and then as I was going through, I saw Project Blue Book, going through, looking at some of these corrections. I actually saw Project Blue Book started in 1952 and went, oh no. Because I knew I'd used Project Blue Book to report multiple cases.
We talked about it on and off air.
Yeah, I think I even said Project Blue Book on the Utah, I believe, with the Proving Ground.
Oh, so you just recently reread this?
I think I said it. I think I mentioned Project Blue Book there too. I may not have, but
I don't know.
I didn't go back and listen to it. But yeah, no. Project Blue Book started in 1952 after literally all of these cases. At least with Utah, we reported over from 1950 to the modern age. So there could have been stuff in Project Blue Book. There probably is. But the Aztec incident, the Roswell incident, and the Farmington Armada were never in Project Blue Book. They were never investigated by Project Blue Book. It never happened. It is a misrepresented mistake on my part. And the reason I know that so very clearly is because it started 2 years after the last case. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw that into the grave with my imaginary government filing cabinet. Mm-hmm. And, The mystery survives even if the paperwork doesn't.
Oh, man. Okay, so does that mean all of our alien cases that we covered, you are now retracting?
No. I said that some of the evidence and research that I did came out of Project Blue Book. A lot of it actually came out of Project Grudge or other sources.
Okay.
Some of the articles I read mention Project Blue Book. I think my brain connected them. But it came out in 1952. 52 is not 1950 for Farmington. It's just basically and this is what happens again when you're researching at 3 a.m. and trying to write scripts. And you're writing quick.
And doing a full job.
And I do work 50, 60 hours a week too. So yeah, it's what happens. And, something that I thought was cool and I thought was connected got added in. It's not that I would ever recant everything we said. I don't think we were really that inaccurate. I think I added Project Blue Book because I saw it. It was in a lot of the reports that I read, and so it just got lumped in by accident as a source.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
moving away from aliens.
Finally, this time, and then we'll go back to them like we did the last time. So, the next episode, which is episode 5, or, as I like to call it, Ginger's fault. Because Ginger wrote this one.
Ginger's not here to defend themselves.
Still Ginger's fault.
All right.
The West Mesa murders. So, this one's pretty serious. Not because she made a horrible mistake. This one's really understandable. And when you're dealing with true crime, accuracy is difficult sometimes because this is a cold case. It's a lot of stuff, but I want to just say this isn't about anybody's ego or anything. We want to respect the real people. And the mistake was blurring the line between confirmed facts and speculation. Specifically, there was a report that a police officer may have been involved with the killings, that some family members of missing victims reported a police officer that had been menacing or harassing some of the missing people that were found in the West Mesa.
Okay.
These were reported by family members. I am not saying that there were no reports, but I suggested this as like a theory regarding the killer. And the same sentence as real suspects. And that was unfair because it is unproven, it is uncorroborated, and no evidence has ever come forward of this mystery suspect, this officer. There's no officer at the time that fit the description. So the lesson in this case is that in unsolved cases, we don't know sometimes is the bravest thing you can say. It's not that Ginger did anything wrong.
No.
This was reported by family members. We just needed to add that one caveat of it was reported by family members, but there is no evidence that a suspect police officer ever existed.
I would also like to state that I very much enjoyed Ginger doing this episode.
No, it was awesome. It was a great episode.
Yeah, no,
I said she didn't do anything wrong.
I like when she does episodes.
No, and she didn't do anything wrong. It was an excellent episode. And I don't think that she in any way meant to present this as a suspect. I think she was doing the very best she could to report all of the theories surrounding this case. And this is a theory that, people did report this. But I wanted to clarify just because when you're dealing with true crime cases, and especially cold cases, you want to be really careful about,
Pointing fingers
at especially police officers.
Unless we're talking about Fry.
And I'm going to have to re-listen to the episode, but I did read through the script a little bit, and I did not see where we were very clear that this was not a suspect. This is something that was just reported. Okay. And so I added this not as I was joking about being Ginger's fault. I added this more because I feel like it's a bold case, big if true, but we don't have evidence. There was no evidence, and no police officer was ever.
And it's still a cold case.
It is still a cold case. All right, so moving on. Sorry, Ginger. That was not meant as a disrespect to you. I hope you're having a wonderful night at work. So, episode 8, La Llorona.
I feel like this is part of my fault.
So, folklore it's complicated, and it's a moving target. So, I stated that the earliest published La Llorona poem was by Manuel Carpio. The truth is he's a part of the story, and he did create a well-known poem. He's, definitely a part of this mythology and legend, but he was not the first to ever publish anything or the first to attempt to make art regarding La Llorona. This legend is a lot older. It's murkier. It's bigger than one author. So say goodbye to simplistic origin stories, which wasn't what it wasn't what I intended to do, but it kind of came off that way. I did say that he was the earliest published La Llorona.
La Llorona. This myth has been around for a long, long time.
Well,
and it's not even just this part of the world. I mean, every part of the world has
weeping women chasing children.
The Lady in White, banshees, like in general, like absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean,
the Wailing Woman.
And really, the real power of legends is that nobody knows where they really begin. They really have been around forever, and so I should have been more careful when I mentioned that. I should have said the earliest known published, or one of the first well-known published La Llorona.
Yeah, no,
was the poem by Manuel Carpio. I just a little bit of clarity goes a long way.
This should show you how much we like to deep dive into trying to get a good story out for you guys.
And trying to be accurate, really. I mean, I was trying to be accurate. But I needed to add a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the Shadows in Albuquerque. Which we're going to do a few of because, heck, there were 5 parts to that episode, or to that series. So, episode 11 was the murder of Gurley Chew. So, in the Gurley Chew case, I said that Geisen Hassenkopf.
Not David Hasselhoff.
No. Geisen Hassenkopf had made up all of his education and his PhD and everything.
Oh, please don't tell me he actually had one.
Turns out he does have a scientific background and a doctorate. He just lied about his medical credentials.
Oh, okay.
And sold fake leukemia cures. I mean, he was still
snake oil salesman.
A lying snake oil salesman that gave hope to people that was never going to do any good for them. He wasn't all smoke and mirrors. He really did have an education and a background, but he did absolutely lie, and he misused what he did know.
Jason, I'd like to say that makes the story even worse.
It kind of does. It does.
Ew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why would you abuse your credentials that way?
Right. Well, and add that you're a cancer doctor, and no. By no means am I saying he's not a horrible person. And, he did misuse what he had, and he lied to people, and I'm sure people died because of his fake cures.
Oh, absolutely. So that means he killed more than her.
Right. But he's not, I think I oversimplified him. I oversimplified this villain by saying that everything was a lie, and it's actually more complicated than that. But we still hate you. You killed your wife. So that's not allegedly because you got convicted. So,
okay, so this next one, I believe, is the one that started people saying, like, hey, you should cover this, hey, you should cover this, hey, you should cover this. We did kind
of get,
this next one is, like, where it started.
So, and this one bugs me, because I do not know how I missed this. This bugs me so bad. So some corrections here on the Hollywood Video Murders, or episode 12, which was the second of the Shadows of Albuquerque series. So these murders happened on March 3rd, not March 2nd. That really bothers me that I missed it by a day. This is writing at 2 a.m. at its worst. This is like, I can't explain it other than probably some sort of a fever dream. Because that's just so, I mean, I know I read that it was March 3rd, and when I realized that it was March 2nd, that I said March 2nd, I was so frustrated when this was pointed out.
Okay, is there I have a question. Is this a big no-no? It's off by a day.
No, it's not that it's a big no-no.
It just bugs you.
It doesn't make the story wrong. It doesn't even really add much to the story. I got tired and put a 2 instead of a 3.
Okay.
I mean, but it's not accurate.
You're not wrong. Yeah,
and and I did say that police zeroed in on the suspects quickly, within a week, I believe I said, but this is not actually true. They didn't zero on them quite as quickly as I'd said. They did relatively quickly they had them caught within weeks, but it wasn't, I said within a week. That was I was pushing that a little bit. And then their sentences were a little more complex than I suggested. So Basically, it was just, I suggested that the man in this case got a much longer sentence than the female, and that because she had cooperated, and she still got like 73 years.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's not that she didn't get it, he got life. But 73 years is life.
Yeah, no, you ain't coming out of it.
So, I mean, I simplified that a little bit, and I kind of made it sound like, I was just sloppy with my timeline a little bit on this episode. And I'll admit, this one, my mother-in-law was like, hey, remember that? I wrote that one quick. I wrote that within a couple hours. And so the accidents are literally Jason needed to, because if you guys remember, I went, hey, we're not doing the serial killer. I told you we were going to do this.
We're going to do this one instead.
This one,
and then we saved that one for like the next episode.
Yeah,
I think it was the airport murder.
The bar. It was the Sunport.
Yeah.
Sunport episode.
Yeah.
That was the one we were going to do, and I pushed it because I thought that the Hollywood homicide case was Hollywood Video. And honestly, it was like, I'll admit, as a kid of the 90s, I got kind of
nostalgic.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. It had a thing. But I did. I wrote that one quickly, and I made a couple of just really clerical errors. But I wanted to clarify. So, Shadows in Albuquerque Part 4. Episode 14. And this one is going to be a little bit of more of an update. This is what I said. One of these is more of an update.
Ooh,
so,
okay.
Ongoing cases are a bit tricky. So this one, I reported that Labar Satlaki had 11 charges against him.
Well, okay, so which story was this before?
So this was
if nobody's heard this before.
This is the one where we could have counted how many times we said allegedly, because he is still... Allegedly. So, this is Labar Satlaki. He was the man who was accused of murdering Native American men.
Oh. We were going to... Okay, so this one was an ongoing one.
And it still is.
Oh, it still is?
He still hasn't been tried.
Okay.
His trial hasn't happened. But when I was looking at this, I did kind of look it up to see where it's at, and he's no longer reported to have 11 charges. Now it's 17.
Oh, wow.
So they've added 6 charges to him. And, a podcast is like a snapshot. It's not the final word, especially in a case like this. This is an active criminal case.
Yes, no,
Which is why I'm not actually going to call this.
I was excited about this one because it was one that was going on right now.
Right, and I'm sure we'll do another episode. I will do an episode on the trial of this case.
Oh, no,
and
absolutely.
the outcome when it ends. Because... why wouldn't I? We did 2 episodes on the Satlaki case, so of course.
This was one of our first 2-parters because we couldn't just fit it all in.
It was a really long case.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, so by no means did we ever intend for this to be like a final word. So, rest in peace, outdated case status. But no, we will continue, and this, I just want to give a little update they did add 6 charges to Mr. Satlaki's alleged crimes. Next is the Strong City Cult, episode 16. Sorry. Strong City Cult, episode 16. This is Wayne Bent's cult, and I made a little mistake. This one's, again, like a clerical-ish error. It has to do with writing. So I said that he was arrested in 2008. This is not true. He was arrested in 2006.
Okay, that's 2 years. Shame on you, Jason.
But his trial was in 2008.
Right.
What I did was I connected... Basically, I unfortunately and accidentally combined the arrest and there was 2 years in between there. And I just put them together.
Jason, you're a sleepy boy. I understand.
I got lost in the paperwork.
Yep.
But it matters because timelines are the backbone of the story. I mean, so that was that one. So he still had a cult. He still did crazy things with kids. Not allegedly. He was convicted. So, screw him. So anyways, let's go back to the UFOs. Specifically, I found an error in the Monolith episode.
Oh, shit.
And this one's cool.
Oh, really?
It's kind of cool.
It was made by aliens.
No.
Oh.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Actually, maybe. Because I said that the Utah Monolith had been taken down in the middle of the night and given to the Bureau of Land Management pending investigation.
Okay.
That's not true. Somebody took it down. People were seen taking it down. They did hear someone say, leave no trace. They didn't give it to the Bureau of Land Management. The Bureau of Land Management does not have it and is not
Please tell me it was the Bureau of Land Management that got a hold of us.
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Wow, no. Yeah, no. But no, it's kind of wild. I mean, here's this shiny rectangle mysteriously appearing and disappearing in the desert, and, we don't have a government plot. I had reported that they were investigating it. Fact is, it's just gone, which actually kind of makes it better.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It just got taken down supposedly by people who said leave no trace, but we didn't get close to them. Maybe it was the men in black, and they were sneaky, and they're actually alien agents.
Sure, maybe. Speaking perfect English. Well, nobody's supposed to be listening to them.
I said alien agents.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Moving on to an episode which, thank God, you weren't a part of. Ladies' Night.
I was having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have anything to say about this one. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, so this is episode 19. So it was Ladies' Night. The killer ladies of the almost Southwest, because one of them ended up not being from the Southwest. So I summed up Ellen Snyder's case by saying that prosecutors could only charge her with manslaughter because of the statute of limitations. I helped Ginger writing on this, and I actually wrote this part. As I was going through her research, I wrote that, and I made a mistake. And this is what happens when you're reading other people's research and you don't do it yourself. And this is not to say there was anything wrong with her research. I shortened it. She very well likely said this in her version, which was just so long it would have been a whole episode. So I was shortening it.
So a lot of us, both Ginger and I, we're investigators, but we're armchair investigators, which means we don't present things when we research things. So we do ask Jason to help us write scripts.
And I try to help out, and I did, but then this was me. So the first degree murder charge, which they did actually charge her with first degree murder, because it was the only charge. Because if you remember, it was 8 years before they caught this guy, or before they caught this woman who had killed her husband. It had been 8 years.
Okay.
And so the first degree murder charge was the only one that hadn't passed the statute of limitations. And so a plea deal was done where she accepted fraud convictions and manslaughter in place of a first degree murder charge. So she waived the statute of limitations. She could have said, no, you can't charge me with those things. But then they would have charged her with first degree murder and attempted to take her all the way to a conviction for first degree murder. My guess is that some lawyer said, that's a bad idea, which usually getting charged with first degree murder is. And she took a plea deal and she negotiated manslaughter and a fraud conviction in place of that first degree murder charge. And that allowed them to still convict her, even though the statute of limitations was up. They also then use this case as a basis for changing the statute of limitations on a lot of these types of charges.
Now, the statute of limitations actually differs from state to state.
State to state, crime to crime.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in New Mexico, this one did change a bit afterwards, and they've used this case as a basis for changing the statute of limitations because this woman killed her husband. And then made her son help her bury him out in the backyard, and then buried him under
I
concrete.
did listen to this one. Yep, nope, I know which one this one is. And I don't listen to our episodes to bring our numbers up.
And she would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you kids and that dog. No, but law is messy, and it's just a lesson to me never to summarize things too quickly. I think that's what it came down to. Is I was literally trying really hard to shorten the story for Ginger to help it fit into that Ladies' Night structure, and so
where we usually cover one story, we covered several.
4 that night, yeah. And the idea was 4 short stories, and the story I gave to Ginger probably could have been a whole episode. And she wrote like a whole episode. She did a great job. And I immediately helped her cut it way down.
Wait, so did you give her that episode to do, or did she want to do that episode?
I gave them a list of potential killers for the Southwest that they picked from.
Okay.
But I didn't research the cases beforehand. I literally looked up,
names of
killers from the Southwest. All right. So, folks, we are to...
Wow, you actually screwed up on Jack the Ripper?
We'll talk about that in a minute. This is complicated.
Ooh, guys, this is the big one. Jason screwed up on Jack the Ripper.
Shut up. So no,
he gave us 23 pages for the first episode. You don't understand.
Oh yeah, all of the episodes together are like 60 pages.
Write a book already.
I am gonna actually try to turn it into a book. But anyways, why not? I have the structure. I have 60 pages of outline. So anyways, no, it's not so much a screw up on this, but I wanted to clarify a number of things.
Oh, okay.
So
I just got excited. It said Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper miniseries. So where do I start? I'm going to start with the sex worker statements that I have torn into so heavily. So I said the Ripper victims weren't sex workers. That was a little too absolute. So I still think that they're not sex workers, personally. That is my personal belief, based on a lot of historian research. And I do think that calling them unfortunate women, which was a slang word for sex worker during the Victorian age, was harsh and bad police work. I think these were homeless women on the street, and they said they assume. And historians have shown that reports of sex work are not corroborated in most of these cases. Life in Whitechapel was complicated.
Like most relationships.
Well, and sex work sometimes just happened out of necessity and desperation.
So you're saying that it wasn't their main... these women were not sex workers all the time. It wasn't their main shtick.
It's possible without evidence.
But it's possible...
It's possible that they may have, at times, used sex work to survive.
Yeah,
that doesn't make them sex workers.
No.
I think that should be clarified. But I will admit that, as I said, it was complicated. I was quick to defend the memory of these women. Also partially because I think for generations, we've not defended the memory. I don't like that these women became a footnote in a monster story.
Right.
Especially when a historian went and said, well, it's complicated. They were, wives and mothers and spoke other languages and were sweet, They were beloved. So, it might have been an error. No, never mind. I was right. So, moving on. I'm also going to say, and this was an error, I said that the Canonical Five, that the statement, the Canonical Five, was a police label. It wasn't.
What?
The term Canonical Five comes from related reports and books and was popularized after the Jack the Ripper case. So that was an error on my part. I also said there were no college-educated investigators. Now, this is not true. I do want to qualify that. So I meant rank-and-file officers. I mean the guys with whistles on the street. That those officers were not college-educated. They weren't high-educated. And that, and I was comparing that to the modern age where a lot of police are college-educated. Even
college was different back then, though.
It was.
Absolutely. If you were not part of the elite or part of the rich, you didn't go to college.
And I wasn't saying those police officers were terrible people for not being.
No.
So I was simply saying that police at the time didn't have the complex knowledge that we expect police to have these days. And so I did. I meant the rank and file officers, but I am going to put a little note in here that commanders, surgeons, and detectives were often educated.
I would hope so.
They did have a higher education.
Especially the surgeons.
And so this last part, I have been back and forth on this one.
This one we talked about the other day.
But I've done more research since.
Oh, crap.
It's more complicated than I told you.
Oh, no. Are you serious?
No.
Okay, so Jason told me that we had said something about half of the files were gone because of the Blitz in World War II.
Some of the files had been destroyed during the Blitz.
That was not true. It was on a different...
So
what was the name of the other killer?
I had read it when there was a killer called the Blackout Killer.
The Blackout
Ripper.
The Blackout Ripper.
But
okay,
I have done a deeper dive on this.
Oh, God.
And the Blackout Ripper did exist, but he had nothing to do with this belief. That is just a confusion because of his name.
Okay.
And there is no specifically proven number of Ripper cases that were destroyed in the Blitz. However, many police records were destroyed during the Blitz.
Oh, absolutely.
And absolutely some of the Ripper records likely went with them. So what I said wasn't untrue. It's just more complicated.
So basically you're correcting your correction that you told me in
private. We just don't know.
Or like on the phone while I was in the bathroom shaving.
Well, I didn't need to know that.
No, brushing my teeth. That's what I was doing. I was brushing my teeth.
I'm telling you guys, Thorn Wolf just looked at me and said, in the bathroom, and then with quotes up next to his ears, he quoted shaving. Sure.
I was looking in the mirror in the bathroom. That's all I remember.
You were pooping. I know it. So anyways, it's okay. No. So what I'm saying is I initially read that cases were destroyed by the Nazis in the Blitz.
Yes.
Then I read a thing that said that was not true.
And that's what Jason had told me.
That's what I reported to you. Then I researched it further and found that, in fact, a number of records were destroyed. Not necessarily Ripper records, but police records, and that it was likely that some Ripper records might have been destroyed.
Okay.
It's not verified, so that's where the confusion came. And
episode 4, where we give all our conclusions, we're on the canonical 5, and now you're saying that the police didn't even call them the canonical 5. That came later.
Well, but they're still the 5 primary victims.
So
the police called them the murder victims.
My theory is still
yes.
Okay, I don't have to worry about okay, cool.
No, the police still referred to them as the victims. They just didn't say canonical victims.
Okay,
that's the only correction.
And there's 5 of them.
And there's 5 of them. So like I said, so the many of these records, the police records, were lost in the Blitz. Probably some of them were Ripper records, but I've also read that some Ripper records were also.
Can you say that 5 times fast for me, please?
I've also read that some Ripper records, no. I've also read that some of the Ripper records were also destroyed by normal processing and disposing of old evidence from old cases. And that's why we don't know if it was destroyed in the Blitz or if it was destroyed by normal processing. So
I hate that.
That's the correction. The real correction.
Right.
Is that basically when these things were 100 years old, or at this point probably 80 years old.
Yeah.
They did destroy some of these records as a part of the normal process. It's not like now where we can store it in data files forever.
You're not wrong. And we're talking about like the police were at this point at the time of the Ripper.
They were 70 years old at the time.
They're like,
right.
There was only, police had been around for 70 years.
If you think about it, this is only, we're talking about World War II, 60 years later.
Yeah.
So now they're 130.
Yeah, so, I mean, I could see why they would be like, well, this case is cold, nobody's going to care about it.
Ancient,
they've written so many books about this already.
Right.
Toss it away.
Yeah, well, and it's just, you can't hold on to everything. Probably things started to rot, to mold.
You're not wrong.
But anyways.
Like me.
This story is a fog of myth, mislabeling, and over 100 years of speculation.
Well, you were there. You should know.
Shut up. History is rarely all one thing. So we have to be careful not to dump facts, as I did. The truth is, we didn't call them the canonical 5. They called them the 5 victims. The Blitz maybe did destroy Ripper records. Or it was normal processing of records, or both are completely possible.
Can we get a T-shirt that just says Ripper Records?
Ripper
and it's
records.
like it's a
maybe as we do merch, maybe we'll get there.
It's a record store.
And as for the rank and file officers not having college educations and the higher levels having college educations, that was also not really a mistake so much as just something I felt like I should correct so that people will leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding.
No, do not leave Jason alone.
No, do not leave me alone.
Berate him in the comments, berate him in the texts.
No, I wanted to point it out because it's, like I said, it doesn't make stories worse to admit you make mistakes. And these are often small mistakes, but they matter. So here we are. The first mistake graveyard is full. Or at least the first crypt in the mistake graveyard until we open another crypt the next time I make
at the end of season 2.
Yeah, after I make mistakes in half the episodes.
Half.
Shut up. Perfection is never the goal. I want goal. I want to put that out. Perfection is never the goal. Honesty and curiosity are. I'd rather be corrected than pretend I never make mistakes. To everyone who points out our mistakes, or often, yes, my mistakes, thank you. You're not just listeners. You become fellow investigators. You become part of the pod. You make me better. So, season 1 is done, but our journey and the mistakes will continue. Because the truth does not need help being dramatic. It's already weird enough. Thank you for joining us here at the Arkins Hearth and digging through the mistake graveyard with us. Keep asking questions, keep digging, keep correcting me. And remember, sometimes the greatest mystery is how much there still is to learn.
Okay, love you, bye!
Good night, everybody.